line. Brought to you by Kellogg's, the folks who bring the best to you each morning. The widest choice of cereals in the forms you like best. Yours from Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now let's all play What's My Line?
And now let's meet our award-winning panel of What's My Line. First, the delightful star of stage and television, Miss Arlene Francis.
And now a young man who is soon to appear in Alfred Hitchcock's new thriller, Psycho, and who is something of a thriller himself, Mr. Tony Perkins.
There are no royal weddings anywhere on the globe this week, so we can temporarily re-welcome New York's most lovely lady columnist, Dorothy Kilgallen.
Now, tonight, we all have to do a very fast show because our next panelist has a house full of celebrated guests waiting for him, Mr. Bennett, Cerf.
Here's a man who's been busy with the the United Nations Committee all week, and he thinks they have trouble. Wait till he gets finished with us tonight. John Charles Daly.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. It's nice to have Tony Perkins on the panel. Nice to have anybody in the panel, actually, considering what we're planning to do with them tonight. And we will try to baffle them with our occupations, and we have some very pleasant and interesting occupations. We'll also have a famous mystery guest a little bit later in the show, and we'll meet our first challenger after this one. And now I'd ask Frank Heller, who is our director, if he'll put a camera on Miss Arlene Francis, who for the 17th year in a row has been elected Miss Hathaway of 1960. Now, this is something that tickles the daylights out of all of us. Miss Arlene cuts the cornea of her eye with her fingernail, and we keep saying, you're going to make it for 1 year when you won't do it. Here we are in May, and she's done it again. What are we going to do?
I'm sorry, John.
It looks very good.
Do you think it makes me more distinguished?
Why, you look like an espionage agent. Have you flown a U-2 lately?
I feel like I can only be half right tonight.
Well, even if you're half right, that's pretty good.
I'm all right with you, Blue.
You're all right with us, right. Now let's meet our first challenger. Will you come in and sign in, please? Mary Ann Messick, right? Is it Miss or Mrs.?
Miss.
Miss?
Right.
And you're from New England?
No.
No? Where are you from, Miss Messick?
Mountain Home, Arkansas.
Mountain Home, Arkansas. Well, just shows you, I went to school in New England. I missed that one, didn't I? Well, I must say to our panel, as I introduce you, Miss Messick, our panel, that Miss Messick comes from a small community, and actually she wears many hats, but there is one that is particularly significant, and I would say honorable one, and that's why she's come to visit us tonight. Will you join me over here now, please, Miss Messick? You know how we keep score?
Yes.
All right, if you know how we keep score, let's let the audience and theater and the folks at home know exactly what your line is. All right, panel. We will tell you that Miss Messick is salaried and she deals in a service, and I think we ought to put Bennett Cerf to work right away.
Miss Messick, I want to know what part of Arkansas you're from. Is anywhere near Fayetteville, where you come from?
It's about 90 miles from Fayetteville.
9 miles. That's
90, about 90 miles east.
Honey.
No.
90. Well, that's as far as east of it? Okay. Is your work done, Miss Messick, more outdoors than indoors?
No.
That's 1 down and 9 to go. And Miss Francis.
Miss Messick, would I be correct in assuming that you are not a Miss Cotton or a Miss Tobacco or a Miss Peachtree or a Miss anything from this state?
All right, Miss Hathaway, yes, you may.
I may. Do people come to you for your service?
Yes.
Men and women?
Yes.
Could children come to you for your service?
No.
No, that would be highly unlikely. I mean, under a certain rare circumstance it might happen, but routinely it would not happen. That's 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Perkins.
Miss Messick, when you receive these people, these adults without children, do you speak with them? Do they speak to you? Is there a conversation involved?
Yes.
In other words, might you say, do they ask your advice? Do they say, what should we do about blank, 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 and then you tell them?
Well, I think it would be safe to say, Tony, that they often get advice. Whether they directly ask for it or not would not necessarily be germane.
All right. Does this advice or does this service, does it cost money?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. In other words, we can say when correctly applied, or in other words, when it works, it costs money, right?
Well, I would say when it's working properly for Miss Messick's continuing function of her responsibilities, that it costs money, yeah.
Right. All right. When these people leave, having left, do they, having left, comma, are these people happier? Are they, do they feel more pleasant about life in general? In other words, is your service in the nature of something pleasant, rather than, let's say, not like a dentist? I mean, you don't harm them, you don't hurt them, you don't...
I think, back to get to the kernel of the question.
Yes, let's do.
But do people sometimes leave feeling happier, or?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. I pass. I'm kind of...
Miss Kilgallen?
Miss Messick, are the people who come to you ever in a romantic frame of mind?
Yes.
Do they ever come 2 by 2, heterosexually?
Hey. I say, Dorothy, please. After all, this is a family program.
Well, and I have a family.
Yeah, they sometimes come 2 by 2 heterosexually, yeah.
All right.
But actually, they more often take the bus.
Well, do you have anything to do with the holy estate of matrimony?
Yes.
Do you have anything to do with the issuing of licenses?
No.
That's 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Well, Miss Messick, if you have nothing to do with licenses, may we presume that you are working for some profit-making person?
No.
That's 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Francis.
But you do have something to do with advising the couples that come to you.
Sometimes.
Sometimes you do? And you don't work for a profit-making organization?
No.
No. Do you discuss with them? Let me ask you this. Are they already married when they come to you?
Sometimes.
Would it not be better if they were married when they come?
Sometimes.
Do they come to you for advice about their progeny in any way? That's North talk for children.
Listen, sis, she doesn't know what you mean. Now, I would think here, speaking technically, no, I don't think that they come to you for advice about their children, do you?
No.
No, I don't
No,
think
wait
so.
a minute. Oh,
5
all right.
down and 5 to go, Mr. Perkins.
All Well, now, I'm looking for a yes. I just want to set something straight. In other words, am I correct in saying you are not a marriage counselor or anything of that sort? I am correct
Yes.
in saying
I want to be the first to congratulate you.
These people do not come and buy something that they take with them. I mean, you don't deal with appliances for newlyweds, or I don't know.
I mean, your question
home
does Miss
furnishings.
Messick sell a product of some
Yes,
kind?
yes.
No, that's fine. 6 down and 4 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Would it be possible, Miss Messick, that you could actually perform a marriage ceremony?
Yes.
Do you marry people?
Yes.
Justice of the
Well,
Justice of the peace is
Thank
right.
you, Bennett.
Let us go there. But since Bennett was out of order, we flip all the cards because we want to be completely correct in our procedures
I'm sorry.
here. No,
I would like to make a statement, John. I never would have guessed that.
You wouldn't have guessed that?
No, I couldn't think of that phrase, justice of the peace. You know,
Well, I think that actually Bennett would have been next, so I don't think that any great less majesty has been committed. But Miss Messick is an elected official of Independence Township.
That's
And
right.
she is a justice of the peace. She also runs a newspaper, a little newspaper in the community. And she writes for the paper and runs a country store. And
She's mighty busy.
she's mighty busy. Mighty busy is right. And you've been a wonderful guest. It's nice to have had you on What's
Thank
My Line.
you.
Thank you, Miss. Will you say good night to the family? Now let's see what we can do with the second challenger. Will you enter and sign in, please? Charles T. Reese. Right, sir? Mr. Reese, where are you from?
Knoxville, Tennessee,
Knoxville, Tennessee. That's
Yes.
where you were born, is it?
and yes, and
Ah,
raised there.
fine. Where are you living now?
Kilgallen, Florida.
Oh, fine. It's nice to have you with us. May I present our panel?
How do you do?
Reese? You join me over here. Do you know how we keep score, Mr. Reese?
Yes, I do.
All right, then we'll tell the folks in the theater and those at home exactly what you do. All right, panel. Mr. Reese is salaried. He deals in a product, and we'll begin the general questioning with Miss Francis.
Mr. Reese, is it a product that is useful rather than decorative?
Yes.
Is it a product that any of us on the panel might be interested in?
Yes, it is.
Is it a product that is found in our homes?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Perkins.
No. Is it a product used to improve the state of health or... yes, let me stop there. Is it?
No.
No, that's 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
In other words, Mr. Reese, if any of us were using this particular product, we would be using it outside of our homes.
If you were using it, you'd be using it outside of your home.
Yes.
Is this bigger than a bread box?
Yes.
Is it as big as a telephone booth?
Yes.
Is it bigger than a telephone booth?
Yes, it is.
Does it have any moving parts?
Yes, it does.
Are any of them metal?
Excuse me?
Are any of the parts metal?
Yes, they are.
Is this in any sense a vehicle?
Yes.
Is it a vehicle that would be found at some times on land?
Well, yes,
Yes.
certainly.
Is it also found in the air?
Yes.
Is it something other than an airplane?
Excuse me?
Is it something other than an ordinary airplane?
Yes, it is.
Is it Is it anything in the rocket or projectile field?
Yes.
All right, is it a rocket?
Yes, it is.
Now, what do I have to guess? What you do to it?
Excuse me? What
I
did you
want
say?
to know how you ever got that far, Dorothy.
I don't know.
You're doing too well, indeed.
Do you
like her.
Do you have some?
You're
What,
brave.
what am I supposed to guess now, John? What he does to rockets?
Yeah.
Do you launch them? No.
Well, actually, I will say this. I'm going to throw all the cards over because this is fascinating. I must say, Mr. Reese has a good deal to do with launching. He inspects Atlas missiles prior to launching. Actually, it's consolidated voltage, isn't it?
No, it's
General Dynamics?
General Dynamics.
And what you'd have to do is do you pass for the company before it's turned over to the actual
To the Air
launching?
Force, well, that's a large process, of course, but in simplified language, yes, that's exactly what we do.
Now, this is fascinating. What is your educational background?
Well, some college and mostly in jets prior to this. Of course, where do you learn missiles outside of missiles?
Yeah. You flew jets?
No, but I worked in jets before, in jet engines, propulsion, structure.
He also was the 1952 Olympic weightlifting
Well, that's what I
team
thought.
member. You remember? Yeah.
That's what I had in mind.
Why
when
didn't
I,
you say so?
Well, I did. Yes, I thought it had
Well, why
something
didn't you
to do
start
with,
down that trail? We wouldn't have ended so fast.
Now, the thing that fascinates me is that Mr. Reese is involved as deeply as any individual can be in perhaps the most sophisticated element of our electronic engineering society, missiles. And yet he is a poet who has had his works published. He has been an actor, right?
Yes, I am.
And he was an Olympic weightlifting team member. And now he's inspecting missiles. You've had a wonderful...
Thank you.
It's a relatively, obviously, I don't want to ask ages, but you're obviously a young man and you've had a wonderfully interesting life.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations and thanks for being our guest. Nice to have you with us. We'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment, but first, here is a word from our sponsor. And now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity, for which, as you all know only too well, my friends on the panel blindfold themselves. Are the blindfolds all in place, panel?
Just about.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? Panel, as you know, in the case of our mystery guest, we go to a different form of questioning. One question at a time, in turn, moving clockwise. We begin with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Are you a motion picture star?
Of course.
Of course, Mr. Cerf.
I didn't get that answer.
Of course was the answer.
Of course.
Yeah.
Are you masculine?
No. 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Are you in a picture that has just recently been released on Broadway?
Yeah.
Mr. Perkins.
What?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Have we ever met?
No, sir.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Although you're known for your dramatic acting, are you also capable of playing in a musical? And did you ever? I mean, a movie musical.
Well, yeah.
Mr. Cerf.
Did you ever play in a play on Broadway with Phil Silvers?
No, sir.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
Have you been in pictures in the last 10 years? Oh, yes.
Mr. Perkins.
Yes. Has your career included a television series of any kind?
Well, sometimes.
Now, a television series specifically?
Yes, a television series. In other words, a situation series.
Yes, sir.
Miss Kilgallen?
Are you Jane Wyman?
Dorothy Kilgallen, I was sitting here saying, well, we've got him right where we want him now. What happened?
I don't know. The reason I asked that question about the musical, I can't even remember the name of the picture, but I remember she had such beautiful legs and such a cute figure, and it just occurred to me that that might pinpoint it. What was the name of the picture, Jane? Do you remember?
Well, I don't remember.
No.
The one I remember,
With
Johnny
Bing Crosby.
Belinda, wasn't that? Where you didn't
Well, that
talk
wasn't
at all?
quite a musical, Bennett.
No, you didn't even talk, did you? I remember.
The one I'm thinking of. The
What
picture
was Night and Day? Was that was a musical?
Yes,
No.
Night and Day.
That's
Night and Day was a musical. That was the
with
picture.
Bing Crosby. I'm going to stick to
Just for you.
Just for you.
Yeah, you played a showgirl or chorus girl or something and wore tiny little costumes.
And presently, it's a Walt Disney
Pollyanna.
production, Pollyanna, you know. But it was Night and Day was a musical show I remember that Miss Jane was in. Oh, golly, I'm just bereft.
My goodness, I thought we had him there just for a half a minute.
I was sure we had him. Thanks very much
Thank
for
you.
joining us. And nice to have you with us in What's My Line. We'll be back. Have another contestant after this word from our alternate sponsor. And now a final contestant. Will you enter and sign in, please? Right there. John W. Mulhan. Is that right? You sit down. I will tell you, panel, that Mr. Mulhan comes from the Bronx in New York. And as you can see, has a lot of friends in the house tonight. And do you know how we keep score, sir?
Yes, sir.
Fine, then we will let the folks at home and our friends in the theater know exactly what your line is. All right. Panel, we'll tell you very quickly, Mr. Mulhan is self-employed. He deals in a product, and we have 2 minutes, and we'll begin with Tony Perkins.
2 minutes we have. Mr. Mulhan, could I have this product in my home if I had a large house?
No. 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Is it a useful product rather than a strictly luxury product? Useful. Would any of us on the panel ever have this thing?
Beg pardon?
Would any of us on the panel have any occasion to have this thing wherever we kept it?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, we would keep it separately from our living quarters, is that it?
Yes, ma'am.
Would it be in an enclosure, ever?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this anything in the animal kingdom?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, wait. Actually, Mr. Mulhan has been good enough to give you some indication here. It has a connection with, but is not of itself a part of the animal kingdom.
May I assume that this is not alive, whatever it is?
Yes.
Is it too large to carry around in my hands?
No. 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Man, you fascinate me. You look so much like Harry Truman. This thing was alive once, the product that you're dealing with?
No. Nope. 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
But it is a product that would be useful to an animal.
Right.
An animal would be happy to have it.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it something you put on an animal?
No.
No. 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Perkins.
Well, if you don't put it
Then-
on him, you got to put it in him or under him. Face it.
And we... Tony, I'm sorry. We just ran out of
He
time.
makes
This was-
mattresses or
Milking
something for
machines.
Well,
cows.
let's get it close.
No, he feeds small fish to large fish.
Oh, no, never. Actually,
What is this?
Mr. Mulhan is wonderful. He sells hay, and he sells it on 42nd Street in the middle of New York. Sells it to the racetracks around this part of the country. Mostly. Thank you very much, sir. I'm sorry we didn't have more time. Will you say goodnight to the... Actually, it's astonishing. Mr. Mahon sells 500 tons a week around the state of New York and the city of New York. And on that happy note that we all have this hay at hand if we want to eat it, good night, Miss Arlene Francis.
Nice to know they sell hay instead of corn in New York once in a while. Good night, Tony.
Yes, it is, and I feel I have not guessed anyone, and I'm very discontent. Good
You're
night,
marvelous, Tony.
Dorothy.
Good night, Bennett.
A lot of those actors will be joining that missile fellow if that strike goes through, John.
That's
Maybe
true.
he can help them. Good night.
Good night, Bennett. Good night, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
What's My Line is a CBS television network production in association with Mark Goodson and Bill Todman.